Yes, what's good, people? Welcome back. Welcome back to another week of Premier League Unpacked. We're on episode number 56, episode 60 coming closer. And this week, we've got a lot to talk about, a lot of entertainment, big North London derbies, 8-goal thrillers, City continuing on our 100%. We've got a lot to get to. But before we do that, let's have a little look around the panel. You can see I got a lot of Arsenal and a lot of Tottenham on the panel today, so you know exactly where we're going with this conversation. Let me start with the Tottenham contingent. Big man Patrick, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Premier League's like fully in its, we're in flow now, and that was our first big test, and I'm feeling good. I'm still here, still smiling. So yeah, got a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack, and yeah, it's good to be on it, man.
Good stuff, man. I don't know where everybody is for the viewers at home, but for me, I've got Patrick and Guna next to each other at the bottom. And I like that because I've got a feeling that there's going to be some back and forth today. So let me move on to the second duo. The man himself, Big Guna Lee. How's it going, my brother? How are you?
Listen, man, you know what? I'm good. I'm good. It's annoying. Yesterday I was annoyed. This morning I was a little bit, annoyed, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of stuff that Arsenal fans aren't gonna want to hear from me, but it is what it is, bro. Like, it's one of those things, man. You know, I keep it real, man.
I love it. I can't wait. And then, of course, last but definitely not least, the man himself. You can see the sign above his head. You know who it is. The man, the myth, the legend, Premsy. What's going on, my brother? How are you?
Oh, you're too kind, fam. You're too kind. Nah, I'm all good, bro. Like Lee said, yeah, I probably say stuff every week that people don't like, but it is what it is, isn't it? Like I always say, if you're everyone's cup of tea, you're a mug, mate. It's simple as that. But let's get cracking, bro, because big game, man. Disappointing result for the Gunners. But here's what it is, Bish. It is what it is.
Before we go any further on that, what was you guys' predictions before the game? I'd like to know where you guys' heads were before the game. I mean, we can start. I don't know who wants to run first on that, but I'd like to get a bit of an idea before the game kicked off. Who was feeling confident? Who saw this coming?
Let Guna Lee start.
Okay, let Guna Lee start.
Listen, I'll keep it 110%. I said that basically I felt like Spurs, the best they could hope for is to just not get battered. Now, I did say, and I caveat by saying, is that I thought it would be a closer game, but I just thought ultimately Arsenal would win. So for me, I'm never going to sit here and act like it was going to be a pasting in terms of the performance, but I thought the result would be we was going to win. And I can tell you the reasons why. I feel like it was clear.
Are you sure, fam? Because last Premier League Unpacked, it sounded like that's what it was sounding like.
No. I've been saying
last Premier League Unpacked, Guna Lee, you was definitely disrespectful.
No. But I'm talking about throughout the week. So like, no. Looking at the optics of looking at throughout the week, I was saying, look, like I knew we was going to beat Spurs. I thought we would beat Spurs. But I didn't think it was going to be the performance where we were going to be pasting, because people need to remember. I said on this very show, I said that Spurs were going to be, good this season. No one else was backing it. I was one of the only ones, and you lot were like making me look like I'm crazy. I'm like, no.
To be fair, that is fair. I've got to give you
that is
fair.
So I knew that was going to be good. So I knew what I said, even on this show. What was it last week? I said what was more impressive about Spurs wasn't their performances. It was the fact that the Sheffield United result they had last week, that was the most important thing, because when Arsenal fans remember when Arsenal last season was going through this, I was lauding Arsenal because of the character, etc. So I'm not going to do this discrediting thing. Go and watch the tapes. That is what I said literally 7 days ago, because I was like, hold on, Spurs are actually, they're not crumbling, they're fighting 2 goals in what, 5 minutes?
I don't know, but I might have to get some receipts like Lee. Did you get me? I'm playing it on stream, you know what I mean?
I swear, listen, if I'm lying, I'm dying, bro. I'm telling you, bro, 110% I said that. So I mean, for me, I knew the performance, and I said that was an indicating factor where I knew Spurs would not crumble the way that they've done over the last couple of years. So yeah.
How about you, Premsy, the other Arsenal fan, and then we'll get to Patrick? Was you similar to Goons, or was you a bit more apprehensive?
Nah, I wasn't, bro. I remember, on the last show, and I remember Lee, was going in. You can't believe it, saying, "Yo, these man are
Bro, it's
gonna
a
get
North London
smoked."
derby. What
Do
do
you
you
know?
want me to
Do you
do,
know
bro?
why I remember it? Yeah, do you know why I remember it hard? Because I did a preview with Troops as well for the North London derby, and I even spoke about Lee inside that. Yeah, and said, "Raz, man, are not giving no respect out here." You get me? Troops was like, "Nah, see me. I'm not going with it." And I was saying it to both of them as well. And I remember saying, "Look, I think it's going to be a tight game." I predicted Arsenal to win 2-1 just because of the record that we have at home. But the way I see it is you got to look at the team in front of you. And Tottenham under Ange, he has done very well. I did honestly think they were going to struggle without Harry Kane. But it looks like other players have stepped up to the plate. And now it's not all about one guy. It's more of a team collectively. And I was looking at it as they can play good football. And the one thing Arsenal do at home is concede a lot of goals. So I thought it'd be a lot closer than what a lot of Arsenal fans thought it would be, rather than, Tottenham coming and just taking a hiding. I predicted a 2-1 win and thought, you know what, deep in my heart, the way we were playing, obviously we got a little bit of a lift with the Champions League and we absolutely blew away PSV. But in Premier League games, we haven't been that fluid. We haven't seen that kind of caliber of Arsenal that we've seen last season. So I was a bit on shaky ground a bit when it's coming to predicting the result, because I wasn't fully sure of what was going to happen. Obviously, I back my team. I never really bet against us unless we're playing a team like Man City. Then I probably only predict a defeat there. But that's how I stood on it, bro. I think Tottenham are a good team, and we'll dive into it and unpack it a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah, my prediction, I'm not gonna lie, I said a 3-1 loss, and it's just pretty much like Premsy saying, I'm just honest and real with where we're at and where Arsenal are at. And for me, away at the Emirates is a bogey ground for us. 1 win in like 25. We haven't won there since 2010. Since then, it's been 8 losses and 4 draws. And then you look at it like this is when we were actually the better team than Arsenal, and we were still struggling there. Last year, Arsenal went like that, and we went like that. So they were even a much better team than us. And I was just like, I predicted a long, especially if Ange Postecoglou was going to play the way he did against a very good team, I thought it could be curtains. But obviously, it didn't go that way. And actually, Gunnar Lee, because I got my notepad, I'm looking at it now. He said, in the 45th minute onwards, he goes, Arsenal going to shit all over Tottenham. So, I mean, if anyone wants to, go to the last week's Premier League Unpacked on Monday the 18th, clip it up from like the 45th minute
Man
onwards.
actually had receipts, When I'm talking about receipts, I'm talking about now on paper. On paper.
I was saying that we were going to win. I said that it wasn't going to be a landslide in the same.
You just said that it's going to shit all over them. So obviously, he was coming with you.
Ultimately, the result. And as I said, I listen.
I'm going to go there, win.
I'm not ever backing down from the fact that throughout the week I was saying, listen, it's definitely not going to be. We're going to win, but it's not going to be the result that people were making out. I said that, and I stand by that. But you can go and check. I did 2 streams during the week where people were asking me to come on, and I said that, and for me.
This Tottenham games had so much of an effect on Lee. He's wearing the Tottenham colours, bro. Please don't tell me that Adidas badge is blue, fam.
Listen, bro. Listen,
yo.
bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro.
Take it off, yo. Get the chest out.
The way I'm feeling with Arteta, bro, I'm telling you, bro. I'm gonna say, listen, we're not gonna say too much right now. But
you got a lovely. Man.
I feel it. I mean, while we're on it, I might as well throw my 2 cents in, but I went in the stream last week, so it's going to sound like I'm bluffing it. But I really did have this game down as a draw. I had Maddison.
No, that old chestnut, eh?
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
I thought there's no point in even saying it. I'm going to sound like a joker. But I kept Maddison in on my fantasy Premier League because I seen Maddison kicking up dust. I could see, and I just felt like Tottenham, or especially under Ange, there's an early good feeling over there. And there's a confidence and there's a buzz and there's something new, and Kane's gone and it all feels very new. And then it's a derby. And I feel like when you go into a derby with some quality and some good management and good systems going, but most importantly with like good energy, and you're going in there kind of, on a high, obviously in a derby game, that's then amplified by 10 because it's a North London derby, and especially for Tottenham because they've done so poorly in a lot of the North London derbies. There's that extra hunger there of like, let's try catch them now. Arsenal are looking a little bit, so I felt like both teams was going to come out swinging, and I weren't super surprised when I seen the draw. Let me put it that way. But to Goons, I wanted to ask you just quickly. I know you said that you hadn't underestimated Tottenham, but you still thought Arsenal would get the job done.
Mm.
In that regard, then, do you feel like the result was a result of Arsenal not operating to the level that they are capable of, or was it Tottenham going beyond even what you expected of them?
You know what? It's funny because watching the game, I actually didn't feel like the quality was amazing. It wasn't like the normal North London derbies where, you know, one team kind of at their home ground is superior. I didn't think that. I thought that the quality wasn't amazing, but I feel like Spurs deserve to win that. I think Spurs were a much better team. I think any Arsenal fan, listen, and this is not me coming at anybody personally, but any Arsenal, and listen, it's even Robbie. So I can say it because Robbie is my guy, innit? Like Premsy knows, but Robbie chatting nonsense, bro. Like, we absolutely deserve to lose that game. We didn't deserve to take anything from it. From the 20th, maybe about the 30th minute onwards, we were poor until the end. And even in those first couple of 15 minutes when we were on them, Spurs still had a chance to get. They got down the right hand side and they could have scored a goal. So I think there's so many moving factors as to why I feel like that performance was poor. Injuries can play a part, but I don't think that that's enough of enough in his excuse, because ultimately we should have had enough to beat them. We're in this 4-year process, whatever. So we should have, done enough. And I think ultimately Premsy was correct. I can't hide it no more. I can't shade it, bro. Like, getting one team had a player for £65 million, another one had a player for £40 million. That looks like to be some of the differences. We bought a player on. He was just horrible. Now, look, Declan Rice, he came on the pitch. Declan Rice came off the pitch, I should say, with an injury, and you can't blame the manager for that. But when you see the likes of who was it? Reece Nelson getting a contract in the summer, you're meant to be banking on this guy, making sure that you believe in him, and then you don't play him. And I did that AFTV, and I said, bro, like, play the guy. This is the game where you wanted to show up and show out, like, step up. This is where you want to give him that moment. And, he's not trusting him. Even ESR, who scored, ESR has scored against Spurs when he was coming up. And I don't even rate ESR. I think he's crap. I think he's horrible. Shout out to Sammy, by the way. But yeah, so I think he's crap. He still has done something against Spurs. And he got the number 10. This means more. Hey, Linda, put that in there, like, give him a chance. So listen, man, for me, I think Arteta, I've conceded the titles. I don't want to hear no shit about title talk, bro. Spurs probably, I would say, have as much of a chance of winning the title compared to us, because ultimately, as much as I love Arteta, I cannot vouch for his decisions. It's the constant party at right back, the changing of formation, the way that now Ben White doesn't even seem to be playing like the same way he was. And that's tactical. That is nothing to do with his fitness, straight tactical. Not starting Gabriel. Then you move into the whole thing with this whole the Havertz thing. Like, it's not making sense. You're moving your star players out of their position and trying to fit in horrible footballers in Nketiah, who, again, Premsy's been saying it. It's almost like anything I've said to try and back this manager, he's making me look foolish. He's making people look foolish, because ultimately you're trying to put all of these different people in this position, in this team, which don't make sense. And ultimately, it's just looking duddery, man. It's looking duddery. So I can't back my team the way I want to, because I feel like the manager isn't doing what he needs to do. And I just look at it very simplistically. Last season, we didn't win anything, but we had a starting position. We had a starting position in the league of, we finished second. We took City to the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks of the title. That's something to build on. That's a good basis. But you've now undone all that work with one signing, and with the changing of formations and the tactics. And as I said, I feel like I have to give Spurs credit, because, bro, you talked the talk before, and they walked the walk in our stadium. And they now all of this discourse is Maddison's better than Odegaard. Bloody Son's now back. All of these things, Spurs are now this amazing team, which I feel like it would have been so simple to beat Spurs if we had just done something more simplistic. But it's almost like Arteta wants to prove everybody wrong by doing the unconventional thing, which don't work. So he's ruined it, man. I'm losing more and more faith with the guy. But listen, it is what it is. No. I'm not doing that, bro. I'm not doing that.
Yes, big up Marcel. I seen the last message as well where you're asking where Roms is. Roms is in the dam watching your boys put West Ham in a spliff. So shout out to Roms. He's not here this week. Pat, I just wanted to ask you then. Do you feel like, and obviously I want to hear your thoughts on the game more broadly, but do you feel like the result was as a result of Spurs stepping up a level, or Arsenal not quite being on it to the level that they could be, or was it a little bit of both? Was it neither of those things?
Yeah, you know what? To be fair, it's a bit of both. Like, Tottenham definitely surpassed even my expectations on the day. I know that we've been a good team so far. We're only 5 games in. And one of the things I said last week is that, for me, I felt like this derby annoyingly came a bit too early in our new process, cycle, rebuild, whatever you want to call it. 5 games in, and then you got to play Arsenal away in your 6th game. That's a tough ask for any team, especially a team that is brand new, has a horrible record there. And Arsenal are a good team. Like, this is the best Arsenal team we've played since we last beat them in 2010. So when you add all these things up, it was looking like it was going to be a baptism of fire. And so obviously because of our start, I was excited and I was relishing this game because, you know, you want these big games, you want these tests. But at the same time, I was also like, shit, we could actually get spanked today. But we really stepped up, and Arsenal weren't at their best, 100%. But the thing is, now I'm questioning, because I've not really seen Arsenal at their best this season in the Premier League. And I know everyone's going to say teams respect them now. They're playing a different... Against Everton, they controlled the game. And I know they only won 1-0, but that's a ground that they don't really typically do well in. And they looked in control the whole game. So I know sometimes the scoreline can flatter to deceive, but Arsenal were comfortable in that game. But other than that, I've not really seen the Arsenal of old. You know what I mean? Like last year, they were blowing teams away. And it was, it's only Burnley. It's only Southampton. It's only... And then after a while, people was like, you know what? This Arsenal team are good. We've got to respect them. I've not seen that level yet, but I still, for me, I'm not silly. I'm not going to sit here and say they're not a good team. Yesterday, in moments, they looked really good, but then also so did we. And I thought, I was proud, Bish, because we went toe-to-toe with a very good team away from home. We didn't change our principles. We didn't change our philosophies. We didn't come in and say, we're going to change our game and sit behind the ball and all of that shit. We just went, you know what, let's play. And even when Maddison got his pocket picked in like the 16th, 17th minute, Jesus should have scored. Criminal. Now I know why you let him go, Bish. Moments like that show you why Man City will let him go. Because I'm not being funny. Any decent striker slots that cleanly into the bottom corner. He's trying to go top bins, Hollywood style and all of that shit. Just slot the ball up. You see how Sonny just called?
Yeah, you watch it, man. Thank you watch it, man.
I'm not going to lie. I saw that from Femsy on this ATV. Like I said, I see Femsy in the Burberry jacket looking slick. And I was like, yeah, that's a line. I've got to steal that. But it's true though, isn't it? Like any, you know, Sonny, and that's the difference. Sonny is clinical and he's just calm in front of goal. And but going back to my point, after that, you still saw Maddison still pick up the ball and play out. We didn't change and say, shit, we got to go long because Arsenal are setting traps. We still played our game, and you live by the sword, die by the sword. We escaped with something. I say escaped. We deserved it, but you know, it could have went the other way, but we believed in ourselves, and that's going to give us more confidence as the season progresses. But I thought it was a really good game tactically and you know, it with the ball, without the ball. Arsenal played well as well, as in they set traps, they pressed us well, but for me, Arsenal weren't as clinical as they could have and should have been. And Nketiah is not that guy. I'm sorry to say it. His decision making in the final third wasn't good enough. Odegaard I think he's an amazing player, but he ghosted through that game. He didn't really take the game by the scruff of the neck. I was very impressed. Sorry,
as you're saying all of that, is there any part of you now, looking back on it, that feels a little bit disappointed that you couldn't get that win? I know you said you haven't had a win since 2010. I know this wasn't a pre-game that you thought it was going to happen, but looking back on the game, like Goon said, you could have won it. They had the chance, you know, they had chances there. Is there any part of it that feels like it was maybe an opportunity missed to get another one of them wins away.
I was going
you
to
know.
say as well that I did think my only fault for Spurs, my only fault is I think that they shouldn't have taken off Son. I don't think you should have taken off Maddison because you could have buried us. I think we were walking. If you watch, I remember watching that game so clearly. The number 77 is going to live in my head for the next year, because from that point onwards, we were praying for the full-time result. The Arsenal that we know, you even saw it against Man United. We go to the final minute because we know we can get last minute goals. And I think that's, and obviously sorry to interrupt you were saying, but I think genuinely, I look at Spurs, that was a silly move. I think you could have really, taken Arsenal to the cleaners, and it could have been 4-2 in the end, probably. So
you stole my thunder, because that's exactly what I was gonna say. And I think as well that Ange, if I'm being honest, as much as he talked the talk, he probably saw it at 2-2 with 13 minutes to go. He's like, let me not be naive and lose this, trying to get another goal. And they, because even though he said, the record's not in the back of my mind, we're a new team, this is my first time here. Of course, it's psychologically still going to be there. And I think he was like, even though we've been in control and we're on the ascendancy, Arsenal is still Arsenal. They're at home. They could pit this. So he took off Son, he took off Maddison, shored things up, brought on Richarlison and Højbjerg. And I think at that moment, he conceded that he's taken the draw, if I'm being honest. So I think it was a fair result. But they were there for the taking. They were shaking. And we looked like we was in control until we made those changes. Then they had a bit more control of the ball. I thought Saka was brilliant as well. He's the guy, innit? He looked like that guy. Disappointed, I mean, from a footballing standpoint, obviously you're not as a Spurs fan, but disappointed that he didn't take on Udogie more. Like, Udogie was on a yellow 100%. In the 15th minute. 100%. You, as a killer, you'd get that ball and you scream at people if they're not giving it to you, and you take him on.
You know what, bro? I said the exact same thing on 5 with Joel Beer.
Oh, did you? See, I ain't seen that one, so I didn't steal it from you for that one. But yeah, it's
Udogie. I've got a big fan here,
But yeah, no, Udogie's a good player, man. He had his worst game. I know if you lot don't watch him all the time, obviously I do. That was probably his worst game. He grew into the game offensively as it went on. But Saka scared the life out of him. You could see that was his first big test. And Saka's a good player because he had him on the ropes. But in all of saying all of that, Saka didn't do what he should have done and really attack him. He's on the yellow early doors. You go at him, and you saw you had the beating of him. Go at him. So something that they need to look at and learn from. But yeah, it was a good game in my opinion. I thought it was a game with a lot of different battles going on.
Premsy, I've not heard your thoughts on anything yet. Just before I do get your thoughts on the game more generally, we've not spoke about the penalty decision yet. Was it a penalty for you? And was there any other big decisions in the game that you felt like were significant? I'd like to get your thoughts on that first, and then I want to hear what you thought about the game.
To be fair, first of all, big up Darrell on the super chat. He said, I've put the performance out of my mind. Come on, you Gunners. You know what? It's hard to put a performance out like that out of your mind real quick. You get me, fam? But look, talking about the penalty, I think it was a penalty. I think 1 week it'll be given, another week it might not be given. But if you actually, I watched it back and the ball was going into the net. So it's basically stopped a goal. So he had to... He had to give it when the guy's going to the screen to have a look. He's gonna more than likely give it in it because they've told him, look, there's a bit of an error gone on there. Go check it out. I think that was the right decision. As anything else, I think is one of them. Like Patrick touched on, I think Saka should have definitely be getting at that Udogie right from the get-go. I thought it was like 10 minutes, but Patrick says 15. He was on a yellow card. And for me, he was quite a progressive player from the back for Tottenham as well. So if he would have put that pressure on him, made him commit, made him put a foul in, you're at home. 9 out of 10, he's going to get another yellow card and get him sent off. Obviously, Patrick thought it was a good game or whatnot. In my honest opinion, you might call me greedy or whatnot, but I've seen so many North London derbies that are miles better than that. Even being at the ground, the atmosphere was just not the same. The fight, the desire, it wasn't the same in my opinion. I'm seeing fucking
you know what I was going to say
Pally and all of that on the pitch and that man speaking. Bro, I don't want to see none of that.
You know what I was going to say to you, I was going to say to you, do you think it's because we as fans all week would say, well, most of us, I would say 85% of us would definitely saying we're going to win. Do you think that the the fans in the ground, especially, and the players thought this was going to be a walk in the park. Do
you know what, Lee? I think that might be right, but I actually remember saying that the players, I think it was on Premier League Unpacked last week, saying the players can't have the same mindset as the fans and think this is going to be a walkover, because the moment they do that, they're going to lack and the performance isn't going to be there. But before I fully deep dive on Arsenal, I'm going to touch on Tottenham first, because I think they deserve massive credit. You get me? I think Ange, he put in a stellar performance. That is what you call a real good away performance. And I think he was right to take Son off and take Maddison off, because like Patrick said, you're away from home. You've got that record in the back of your head. Arsenal are known for scoring late goals. You get me? We score a lot of late goals, and he shored it up. He brought Højbjerg on. He brought Richarlison on, maybe to just be better at set pieces or whatnot, to try to counter active Havertz coming on with height. I think he managed the game to an absolute T. I think it was a fair result. I don't think Tottenham should have won. I don't think Arsenal should have won. And the reason I say that is because, in my opinion, Tottenham didn't create bagfuls of chances. They were efficient with their chances that they had. Arsenal did create a few good chances in that first half. Realistically, it should have been 3-0, 3-1 going into halftime. That's my honest opinion. You go into halftime with that scoreline, the game's dead. Best believe the game's dead. Where Tottenham, credit to them, they stuck at it. They managed to get the goal just before halftime, which was so vital for them, because they come out second half. They looked at the likes of Declan Rice not being in that midfield anymore. They looked at what's his name, Fabio Vieira going out of that midfield and Havertz coming in. They probably looked and thought, 2 Chelsea rejects there, happy days. You know what I'm saying? So that gave them extra confidence to go and push on. But you got to give credit to Tottenham, man. Like, there were some players in that team that I looked at and I thought, you know what, you're quite good. That Van der Ven, you get me? I think Troops on my show on the preview was calling him some mad names. Anyway,
Nicky can't defend. I call him the same thing. Nicky can't defend.
He
was
all right. You get me?
I told you guys about him that he's a good player, and he had a good game. It's a funny one, because even like you said, going back to the handball moment, for me that's a penalty. Even though I'm a Spurs fan and I didn't want it given, it's a penalty, man. And Romero didn't do anything untoward. He went to block the shot. His hand was in a natural position, but it hit his hand. The ball was going in. Regardless, some people are, but it's accidental. It doesn't matter. If you wipe someone out, or you tackle someone badly, accident or not, if it's a foul, it's a foul. If it's a handball, it's a handball. They just need to be consistent and give it to the standard. It's a penalty, man. It wasn't like people saying, Arsenal got a deflected goal and a handball and a penalty, but the deflected goal came because we were under a lot of pressure in that moment, and obviously ultimately you scored. The penalty was, in my opinion, correct. And I think it was for me, I thought it was a game higher quality. I think it was a game that was evenly matched. Maybe because I'm looking at it from a Spurs standpoint, knowing how good Arsenal have been, I was impressed with how well we stepped up. So maybe that's how I'm looking at it. But I thought it was good in terms of the patterns of play were there for Tottenham. We played some good football. You guys also played some good football.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm meant to be giving Tottenham the praise. What's going on, fam? You get me? When this guy's got too giddy here now, this guy's got too giddy. Keep going, bro. Keep going.
That's pretty much it. And I think, obviously looking at the game, you don't want to jinx it, but when Havertz come on, I was like, like, that guy's just not it, man. And even Fabio,
this guy here, 2 Chelsea rejects. I'm jumping in right now.
Yeah, no, but it's true though, because you actually made me think about it, because at the time there's so much going on, you don't really deep it. But he did fuck all in that game, like literally, he just did nothing. He offered nothing. Jorginho got caught lacking for the goal. I don't know. That can happen, innit? But Havertz did nothing in the whole game. I don't remember him doing anything. Let me
get back to where I was.
Then, go on, you go.
Because we got nearly half an hour in. Read the super chat then first. You take everything I'm going to say.
We've got another super chat coming from the Real. In my opinion, Spurs cooked us in our own backyard. But payback will be on the 27th of April. That's going to be a real interesting game. It's a long stretch of season to see how things figure out. There will be no mercy, they're all saying. You always make work so easy listening to you. Big up the row. We appreciate it, and we're glad that we're helping.
Yeah, no, respect, man. That's a nice super chat. But yeah, to think 27th of April, you're going to come to our ground, and obviously it's a long way away. But
he's got some juices in them.
No, I'm just saying, if we're playing like this, and obviously we're half of the team that we should be, you know, the North London derby's hard away from home. So to say you're going to,
do you know what I will say though, Patrick? What I will say, and I don't know if Premsy will agree, is Arsenal play way better away from home. That's the first thing. The second thing is we were missing. Now, listen, you can't add him in because you haven't seen him play, but Timber, Martinelli was a huge miss. I think Trossard would have, added something to that game as well. I then think if you had Partey in there, I don't think Sarr would have done anything near what, because he was quality yesterday. I don't think he would have been as good because he would have had Partey hopefully in there with Rice, and then Odegaard would have been a lot better because of that, because he wouldn't have had to, sit so deep, and he probably wouldn't have had to, take that foul because we wouldn't have, got the yellow card because we wouldn't have had to foul, etc., etc. So I do think, now again, that's, me just not, okay, looking at the Arsenal team, looking at the Spurs team, I do think we have a good chance of beating you, because I still stand by, I think we're a better squad, we have a better team. But obviously, it's it just didn't turn out like that yesterday.
Got another window by then. Go on.
Let me finish off, because
go.
Tottenham man, and over there he's got the cojones now. You get me? He's loving life over there, and I'm gonna let him have his moment. That's why I didn't jump in, but let him be happy, man, because he's been griefing over the last year or so. You get me? It's about time you had a little bit of joy in your life. But look, I was banging on the players within the Spurs team. I think one concern that I see for Tottenham is Pedro Porro at right back. I think he's very, you can really get at him. You get me? And I think if Martinelli was playing, like Lee said, he would have been a thorn in that Tottenham side, especially having Porro on the right-hand side. I think Basuma, he's really come into his own. That partnership with him and Sarr in the middle looks good. I think when Bentancur comes back, it is going to make them a bit stronger. Maddison, call me Mystic Premsy. But I've said a lot of things that have come true, you get me? Even when it comes to, do I think Arsenal's going to challenge for the league? I remember in the predictions, I put Liverpool second. I said Arsenal third. I was going to get bottled on this show. You know what I mean? But I was going to get bottled. I was thinking, what's going on? But I think, look, they've got some promise. Like I said, I do also believe in the new manager bounce. I think we're going to have to wait and see maybe 15 games in, see if we're still seeing the same kind of Tottenham, or these same players that have kind of let the head drops during the season many times before, let that kick back in. So we're going to have to wait and see. But now looking at the Arsenal side of things, I think Arteta and the players have to take massive responsibility, because I don't care if we've put Rayo Maichi on or fucking Marwan Shamak on and they're not good enough. I expect to see some serious fight. And in my fan cam, I said this game lacked a Granit Xhaka, and it honestly did. It lacked that bite. It lacked that fire. We got overrun in midfield. It's simple as that. We got overrun. Decisions from Arteta wasn't good enough. I think he's thinking he's too clever for his own good at times. We're nowhere near seeing the level we seen last season. That is facts. You get me? He's trying to change things up. In my honest opinion, Ramsdale, I was predicting it beforehand. I said, I believe Ramsdale should start in this North London derby. And I understand why he put Raya in. Raya 2 clean sheets, looked good when he come on, but he never really had to do anything in them 2 games. He made a fantastic save, but he didn't look crisp, in my opinion. I think if we would have had Ramsdale in goal, he's a big game player. He knows how to get the defenders up for it. He's shouting orders. Yeah. I think that's the kind of game that he will thrive on. I think Emil Smith-Rowe should have started on the left. I think Jesus should have started up front. That's my honest opinion. He's a left winger. Let him go out there and play. People tend to forget Emil Smith-Rowe, when he burst on the scene against a Tuchel's Chelsea side who was firing at that time. I think they actually won the Champions League that year as well. And he burst on the scene and he was electric. You get me?
There was a moment when people were saying Saka, Smith-Rowe, like they was putting him in that breath. Martinelli, they were all kind of, and then it was like he
got injured, didn't he?
Yeah,
he got injured, and then it kind of fell off.
As some sub bench player.
110, bro. But this is what I'm saying. I think Jorginho, he fully fucked it for us. You get me? Experience he has. He should not be fannying around like that. But do I blame him? No, I don't blame him, because in my honest opinion, he's not good enough. So I expect something like that to happen with him. Havertz, waste of £65 million. I said it from day dot. Obviously, people know the famous argument between me and Sava about calling Havertz shit. And I still don't take that back. Yeah, he wears the Arsenal red and white, and I'll support him when he's got the shirt on, and I hope the best for him, and I wish him the best. But when you're looking at it from football terms, 3 years at Chelsea, not good enough. Comes to Arsenal now. Arteta thinks I don't know what he sees in him, but he thinks he's clever by bringing in a shit player and trying to make him good to make himself look even better. I'm not with that at all. Thomas Partey, when he gets back into this team, it needs to be Partey and Rice in the middle of the park. That is our best midfield right there. Odegaard, I think the yellow card that he got didn't help him, because the one thing about Odegaard, he likes to press a lot, and he couldn't really press too tough because he knew he'll end up getting himself sent off in that game. Saka, like I said, he should have been going at Udogie. I guarantee you he would have got sent off. You've got 75 minutes of the game left. Go and put pressure on him. You're one of the best wingers in world football right about now in your position. You should be able to get him a yellow card. And now people might say, oh, it's dirty doing all that. I don't care. In this kind of game, you win by any means possible. But we're just not good enough at the moment, Bish.
Yellow card, then breeze past him, like just attack him, where either he gives you the yellow or you don't want to stick a leg out and don't want to commit, and now you should be flying past him every time. But it's one or the other. Just attack him, innit, at the end of the day.
Yeah,
I do think as well. Look, ultimately, we've all said a lot. I think we've all said a lot, but I think one thing I think we can all agree on now is for sure. It took me till yesterday to see Nketiah. He's just not good enough. Havertz, he's not good enough. But the main one for me, as good as he is with all the other stuff, Jesus isn't that guy. He's just not that guy. As good as he is with the linking, and I love the flair. I love all the other stuff, the samba. I love the street football that he brings. He's just not good enough to lead you to a title. He's not. He needs to be incorporated with somebody else, or he needs to be in another position, because.
But you know what, Lee? I echo all that, and to be fair, I've been saying this for a very long time. I've said about Nketiah, Crystal Palace level, not good enough. Before Havertz, I was talking about Havertz. That argument happened, with me and Sava. Obviously, Sava's my guy now. We're all good and whatnot, so people don't think it's still going on. But that argument happened, before we were even linked to Havertz. When Real Madrid were linked to him, you get me? That's what my thoughts were on before I even knew anything about him coming to Arsenal. And with the Jesus one, I totally agree, bro. I think he's a fantastic player. We are a much better team when he's in there. But I've been crying out for a striker for time, bro.
Yeah,
I've been saying
it took me till yesterday to realize that. It really did. You know what? And listen, my thing is, I'm gonna keep this, and I keep it the same energy. I came on this very show. This was the first show. I said, I don't feel like if Harry Kane goes to Man United or Man City, he wins them a league, because I've seen in the big moments, he bottled it. And I always reference the penalty he missed in the World Cup. And my issue was with Harry Kane. It wasn't that it got saved, because that can happen. It was the fact that he missed the target completely. That was why I was saying he fluffed his lines. And for Jesus to do what he did yesterday from the penalty spot, I think he was a yard, maybe a meter behind the penalty spot, and for him to miss the target, because you're still from the penalty spot. Vicario could have, made a great save, fine. But for you to miss the target, you are just not that guy. You're not good enough. And ultimately,
let me give a tiny bit of pushback on that, and I know that it's different because he scored about 48 goals in the last however many games, but Haaland has missed quite a few sitters since he's come to City.
You can't do that though.
Like he's missed worse. Haaland's missed like at least 5.
You can't do that though.
No, but he has missed at least 5 sitters worse than what Jesus did there. So I get it. You aren't saying he's not good enough just because of that miss. But
Bish, would Haaland? Sorry, Bish. Let's put it into context. If Haaland stole the ball off Maddison, does he miss that one-on-one chance with the keeper?
Almost certain.
And you know what?
I've seen him miss other chances where
it was my dad that said it to me.
It was 2 yards out. Is he missing it? No. And
there you go.
You can be a top striker.
It was my dad that said it to me this morning. Yeah, he said ultimately Jesus was a backup striker to nobody, because Man City won the whole season Man City went a whole season without playing a number 9.
That's so dumb.
And
That's
he was
actually
on the
funny.
bench. And even when you were in, we were saying, Pep, play this guy like he's there. You can't keep crying. You don't have this play. You don't. And he was on the bench.
A striker, clearly Pep saw him as a winger.
No, but so that's my point. He was a backup striker to no one, to literally nobody.
But he wasn't a backup striker if Pep didn't see him as a striker. He saw him as a front three.
But my point is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't. My point is to you, though, Bish, is that he is a number 9. So we can't say that he isn't. Pep didn't see him like that, but he is a number 9. He just didn't think he was good enough. So he was backup to no one. His actual position was back up to no. It's almost like me being a substitute.
Yeah, but you're saying back up like he didn't feature heavily for City. Like he was still a key big game.
In a big game. No, in games, you were going with Foden, you were going with De Bruyne, and you were going with what's his name?
Yeah, in plenty of games we were, but plenty of other big games.
No, but
my point
is that you didn't have a number 9. My point is that you didn't have a number 9, and even when he was playing on the right most of the time. So you weren't even playing in the position that that's his forte. You were forcing him into the team playing on the right, and that's my point. There was nobody there, and he still couldn't get a start, and he still wasn't playing in that position. So that's my issue.
And do you know what it is, though, Lee, as well, though? I'm not mad at Jesus for that. You know why? Obviously missing the chance, because when we signed him, I knew he wasn't going to get us 25 goals a season. I knew it for a fact because I watch a lot of Man City games, and I was a big fan of Gabriel Jesus at City. I used to watch him. This is why I was screaming for a striker. And when I was saying people like Mitrovic and Ollie Watkins and a focal point, I was getting laughed at because Saka needs a rest at times. You get me? Saka can't play. He just broke the record for playing the most consecutive games in the Premier League. Like, it's mad.
No,
Jesus,
only for Arsenal.
Was it Arsenal? Yeah. But Jesus, Jesus on the right-hand side, Martinelli on the left, and Ivan Toney up front. Jesus, when we got him in the team, I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, his finishing might not be top tier, but we are so much better. We're more free-flowing when Jesus is in the team. He does the dogged work. He does the defending. He comes back. He integrates with the players well. He's a fantastic player. But you're right. We need a killer up front. We need somebody that is going to take that ball off Maddison and you could put your house on it that's going in the net. You get me, bro? That's what we need. And unfortunately, we haven't got that right about now. So these motherfuckers need to pull the finger out. And in January, they need to go and they need to sign someone. It's simple as that. But yo, Bish, I think that's enough on the North London derby because it's going to blow my head off, man.
We've been speaking of City, so we will move over to my City now. But I just wanted to quickly ask before we go on to City. You guys have got City next weekend. Just quickly, you can even just give me a result. What's your prediction for Arsenal City? You can give me a score. You can just give me a result. Quick thought, but not too much.
2-1, 3-1 to City. My honest opinion. And I never back against my team unless we play against City, to be honest, because I've just got too much PTSD against them. You got to call it as it is. Best team in the world right now.
If you're currently talking about the way,
that means he doesn't believe what he's saying.
He's frozen.
It's cap. While we're waiting for him to reconnect, Paddy, give us your prediction for you guys versus Liverpool because you got an equally big game. Oh, you back?
Wait. Lee, you're back. Go on then.
No, I was going to say, I think ultimately, if we in this current iteration with all the injuries, we'll lose for sure. But I think we will have a few players back. So I'm going to say we're going to win because we have to. I'm going to say we're going to win because we have to.
I like it. And I just, while you was frozen, I was just saying to Patty, I want to know what his prediction is for Liverpool, Tottenham, because that's another big game.
You know what? That's a toughie, man, because for whatever reason, Liverpool are always our bogey team. No matter how well we play, we just never seem to get anything out of it. Even last year when we battled hard to come back into it, and then Lucas Moura gave the ball away to Jota and they scored literally late in, so... And Eric Dyer literally assisting Salah last year with the shit backwards header that left the keeper in no man's land. The way I'm going to go for probably a score draw, probably 1-1 or 2-2.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, we can either start the City topic with a question from you guys, or I'm just going to talk my shit for a second. It's up to you. You
talk your shit, bro. You need to get it out, man. Let it out.
What you got to say?
I'll tell you man a story. I was out and about the other day in the car grafting, and I jibbed into a William Hill. Then I went into a Paddy Power. going into all of the bookies. I was looking online on my phone, and I was trying to find where I can get odds for me to put money, 50 quid, 100 quid, something, on City to win every game this season. And nobody's giving me no odds for it. But for me, the next best thing that they had was City to go unbeaten, and to you can't beat the invincible record, but you can be the second team to get that invincible record. And when I last checked I think Sky Bet or somebody like that had it at 20-1. These men ain't paying me, so I don't know why I keep giving them all the flipping airtime to name them. But they had City at 20-1 to go unbeaten. And for me, that's just where my head's at the moment. I think this City team looks even better than last season. Even though we're not necessarily, I wouldn't say that we're better, we look better than our best moments last season, but I'd say structurally we're even more solid. I think Gvardiol just looks superb, slotted in perfectly. Walker is like back to his best, if not better, re-energized, reinvigorated. We've had an incredible window. You know, I'm listening to Arsenal, and when you guys are speaking, I'm thinking a lot about whether this window, compared to the last few really good windows you've had, if Arsenal dropped the ball a bit, and is that going to affect the season? City, on the other hand, were quite, went under the radar a little bit in the window, but every player that we've signed has looked superb. Mateus Nunes on the weekend, I was really impressed with. I felt like he's kind of stepped up with obviously what happened with Rodri. Doku has just slipped straight in there, giving us something different. First time I've seen that kind of directness really since Leroy Sané. Raheem Sterling, of course, had a little bit of it, but for me, Doku is more Sané-esque. Just, it's like he can get the ball and just start opening up holes on the pitch that weren't even there. So he's an exciting player. And at the same time as I think City are as good as we were or even better, but we've got the treble under our belts, and now we're looking for a new challenge, a new, Pep and them guys are looking for perfection at all times. And I feel like the level around us has dropped. We don't have an Arsenal right now anyway. We don't have another team that's winning every single game. Tottenham, Liverpool, Arsenal, okay, they're all still, getting wins and playing good football. None of them, for me, scare me. None of them look like they're even the best version of what they can be. And City are just a well-oiled machine. So,
have you heard this guy spoiled? Absolutely spoiled. Fucking hell.
I was thinking to myself the other day as well, like, obviously all the sob stories we have about when City were rubbish, and like we ride the coattails of that a little bit. But how many years in is it going to get to where that's no longer an excuse to just be spoiled and spoiled rotten? Because I don't know whether it's a good or a bad thing for the league if City have won it 5 times in 6 years. People say
definitely a bad thing for the league,
like Serie A. But I think at this point, anyone that's saying City are winning it this many times, with that kind of like bitter, City are just outspending everybody, City are fighting the league, it's not fair, it's rigged. I think at this point, if you're still on that hype train, you're in denial. Do you know what I mean? At this point, City are doing this, yes, because they've had a lot of investment. Yes, because they've been building a footballing machine from the top of the organisation to the bottom with a lot of money for 10, 15 years or whatever it's been. But ultimately, it's because we've got the best manager in world football.
That's what I was going to say, though, Bish. He's a gliding through because you've got the best manager in the world, because we've seen City with money, with teams like Pellegrini's, Mancini's and stuff like that. But yet there was always a good level of competition. Since Pep Guardiola's coming here, for me, he's best manager ever. I know people might say I'm mad and say Fergie this, but the aspects I see from him, I'm with that. Do you know what I mean? He hasn't only done it come to the Premier League and dominated. He was in Barcelona, done a mad thing there. Yeah, he has had money to spend, but he's got that pull as a manager to bring in these kind of players. And he's so dominant that I think you'll only see a fall off from City when he leaves. And when I say fall off, I don't mean they're going to drop 5th and 6th, because I think, like you said, they're a well-oiled machine. All they've got to do is bring a manager in, and basically they've got everything positive around him in order for them to succeed. But is it good for the league? I don't think it is good for the league, because there needs to be competition. It's good for City fans, but is it good for the league? I don't know.
Somebody else needs to step up. I think, for me, one of the best things that's happened for City's legacy during this period is United, in the last few years, Chelsea, Arsenal even in the last few years, spending, but United kind of really in particular, which makes it even sweeter. United spending so much money over this same period of time, throwing money, throwing big name signings, throwing, all of the transfer money at the transfer market every single year, and not coming close to being able to even really compete, has done a great thing for the legacy, because it means that, now when you look at total outgoing spend over the last 10-year period or whatever, it's not City 500, 600, 700 million pounds more than everyone else. There's a lot of teams that have spent the same amount of money in that period, and only one of us has won 5 leagues in 6 years. So I value that, and I think at this point now, for us to get knocked off this perch, either someone has to come in out externally, intervene, start trying to dock points from Man or whatever it is, or another club has to step up, and it has to be deeper than just stepping up, like getting some good signings, getting a good manager. It needs to be another footballing system has to get built in this country that can compete. I think Arsenal are probably the closest to doing it with their whole process over there. Obviously, Liverpool have got some of the bones of it still with Klopp and with what they've done. When you start talking about your Tottenhams and your Uniteds and stuff, it's just hard to see how you can compete with this kind of a machine when you've got ownership that you may be not quite sure about, when you've not got directors of football in place, etc. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the game specifically, can have no complaints about the red card. I'm not really sure what Rodri was doing, but also as you can see what Morgan Gibbs-White, or I think it was Morgan Gibbs-White, has mouthed to him. He's called him, a female dog. Rodri's English is clearly good enough to understand what he said, and he just decided, I'm going to put my hands on your neck. And Morgan Gibbs-White then dived on the floor, so I don't know why he's throwing.
I said, so basically, he called him a bitch and then acted like a bitch.
Literally, you said it, not me. I didn't know if I was going to get us demonetized, but
yeah. It is what it is. Say anything you want.
Yeah, it was pathetic. It was pathetic, bitch. When I saw it, I was like, really? Like, but yeah, Rodri was silly to react at the end.
I just can't imagine you going home to your girl at the end of the night and she's been watching the game, and you just got to go home and go back in your house, and she watched you get pushed by another man.
It wasn't even the push, it was the way he reacted. It was so overly dramatized and so fake. But they need to, I thought VAR was going to come in to also stamp down on shit like that. Like, if you see someone overacting and doing that, you're meant to have a word with them. They're not doing that.
I don't know. I think it was a red. I think if any Arsenal player done that, they would have got a red card. So you gotta be fair, man.
And it's a weird one from Rodri because he's been our best player this season so far. I said early on in the season, I think this is the year that Rodri surpasses De Bruyne as the best or most important midfielder at City. I really do. I think by the end of this year, we're going to be talking about him being the better of the two. I'm not going to say better when De Bruyne's at his best or whatever, but obviously De Bruyne's a bit older. De Bruyne's been struggling with injuries, and Rodri's just hitting his stride. He's adding more to his game. He's getting goals, mad assists. So it was a wild moment from him, and obviously that's a real big loss going into the Arsenal game. But then that just comes back against what a great window we've got. I feel good about Núñez coming in. I feel good about Kovacic coming in. So yeah, it's good times at City at the moment.
That shows you the level that you're at, though, Bish. You've had De Bruyne injured for pretty much most of the season so far, and you've not even missed him. 100%. That is mad. He's a massive.
But the problem is, though, the only thing with Man City is they've done this before. They've gone 6 months without having him, and then he came in at the end. It's almost like he's coming in for the playoffs. Like in basketball, he's just coming in for the crunch time, and he'll come in and do his thing. So I don't know how much credit you can give them in that respect, only because they've done it before. But still, the way that they're just turning up, and they're just turning teams over. The worst game I've seen them play all season, actually, for me, was the game against the Champions League game. I thought, first half you were horrible, but your second half you score after a minute, and then it's like game's done, like it's finished. So for me, look, I think Man City are imperious. I think and again, even if I went off just the bare logic of I think Arsenal players are good enough to win a title, I just see the managers as Premsy said. I see the managers, and I think Pep don't make those kind of mistakes now. He's made it in a Champions League final, and he might have made it in a one-off game, but he doesn't make those continuously. And it's almost like we're screaming for him to just make such simplistic decisions. You see what Ange Postecoglou is doing, and you're like, Why is this guy being able to come in and just make such simple decisions, which are seemingly making Spurs just look 10 times better? Now, it's not even like, oh, because Spurs were here, that they're now, anything's better. They're looking considerably better. And that's the difference for me. And it's like simple things, playing players in positions, sticking to your guns. And like, why everybody? No, I thought it was that me. Is that gone?
Oh, no, you're active.
Why is it that I always get onto Ten Hag? Because he doesn't implement his style of play. He allows the players to change the way he wants to play, to fit them in there with the likes of Rashford, etc., etc. And that was my issue with them. So what I'm saying there with Arteta is, brother, you're making such simplistic decisions to almost prove this weird infatuation you have with some of the players you brought in, and you're horrible, or you're mean to the keeper, but not with Eddie. You're horrible and mean to the right back, or Zinchenko or Ben White, because he brought in Timber, but not with Saka when he drops a disaster class. You're mean and horrible to Partey and Pepe, but not to Xhaka, who was at times doing crap. So it's all this picking and choosing, and when
you got to be fair across the board, innit?
All three of you got kids or kids on the way, thank the Lord.
Yeah.
But it's almost a bit like you can't pick and choose who's your favorite. Ultimately, you have to love your kids the same, or at least make sure it's known to them that
you have your low key favorite. You might have
a low key favorite, but you would. I would be remiss if any of you.
I don't know. I'm my mum's favorite. I'll tell you that much.
No. Okay, cool. But as an adult, you might know that. But as a kid, you would never ever. Yeah. And ultimately, your mum will always still say, nah,
no favorite.
I love you all the same. Do you know what I mean? But with Arteta, he makes it obvious. If I don't like you, I want to be ruthless with one player. It's not the same with the other players, and that's my thing. So that's why when you look at Man City, going back to the whole Man City thing, you look at Man City and you're like, nah, they just look too much, because they've not only got the best players, but their managers it's just crazy. It's crazy, man. So yeah.
I mean, if any of you guys have got any more to add on that, we can. I don't want to bore us out by just going on the City chat forever. We're at 55 minutes. We haven't had a chance yet to touch on Liverpool's continued ascendancy and the record-breaking 8 goals by 8 different players at Newcastle. There's other games knocking around, and we were going to try and get in a new little segment this week called Honourable Mentions. Has anyone got a preference on where they want us to go next? With the time that
I think we touch on Newcastle, keep it short and brief, and then we'll move on from then. Yeah, because they deserve it.
Well, like we said, first time ever, there's been 8 different scorers. 8-0 Newcastle, Sheffield United. I want to say looking like the whipping boys, although to be fair, they put in a decent performance against City. Newcastle just seemed to kind of pull them apart. Did anyone get a chance to watch the highlights or watch any of that game, or got any thoughts on Newcastle?
Yeah, I'm pissed off because I got my FPL. Isak only scored 1 goal, bro. And do you know what the worst thing was? I said, I don't care. I got Son and Udogie in my FPL. I took them out, bro. I took Haaland. I triple captain Haaland yesterday as well, and he scored 1 goal. Listen, man. I got a major.
Yo, are you in the Premier League Unpacked League?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, right.
I messed it. It must be right down at the bottom.
He must be right at the bottom then, fam. I took Saka out like a dickhead and put him on the bench because I thought, you know what, he's not being playing too great, and he got 13 points. And I took out Darwin Núñez as well out of the team and replaced him with Jesus. Absolutely shot myself in the foot, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Newcastle, Bish, I think we haven't seen the best Newcastle so far this season. I'll be honest with you. I think they have started off slow. I predicted them to come 5th this season. I think they had a good away result at Milan in the Champions League, going there, getting a draw. First time back in the Champions League for a long time. Come back to the Premier League. And this is how you know a team is good or not. Because if you go to the Champions League, and then you follow that up with a fantastic win on the weekend, you're starting to do the right things. It's just like Arsenal. I don't know if you've kept track of it or not. I don't know if Gunnar Lee actually is aware of this, but most time we used to play midweek, we'll end up drawing or losing afterwards, you get me? It was mad. So you got to give them credit. You got to also give credit to Eddie Howe. He's done a fantastic job. He's brought in good signings. And to be fair, there's not really much more that you can say on them. I think we're going to have to let the season pan out a little bit more. Obviously, Sheffield United, and I wouldn't say they're a massive test, even though City was used. I had a little bit of an issue with them.
Yeah. They played well against us. That was one of the games this season where I thought we might come unstuck. They played really well.
Yeah, but yeah, that's all I have on Newcastle, to be fair.
Yeah.
Patty, you got anything on Newcastle?
Yeah, no, they look good. It's a funny one because obviously playing Champions League football and then playing, in the league, it's a big test for a lot of teams. Yeah. And I thought, Sheffield United, to their credit, I don't want to sound, to their credit is a horrible word to say after being battered 8-0, but they stayed in the game against us. They stayed in the game against City. They've given teams a tough time, but then they get blown away. I mean, obviously, annoyingly, all the games were on at the same time. And then after the North London derby, I didn't want to watch any more football. So I didn't watch the game. And I'm seeing 3-0, 4-0, 5. I'm like, what's going on? And thankfully for me, I bought an Anthony Gordon into my FPL team. And I saw he didn't start, so I was annoyed. But then I was seeing him racking up points. And it made sense because Harvey Barnes got injured early. And man, Newcastle, I'm still not sure about them, if I'm being honest. I'm still not sure if they're going to be pushing the top 4, the top 6 because of their schedule and because of, the team. I'm not sure it's as good as the other teams, but they are a good team. And on their day, they can give anyone a game. Looking at that Sheffield United team, though, they just looked like they stopped trying because a lot of the goals were very basic. Trippier whipping in crosses, header. One of the goals where Almiron scored, it was a simple pass through, cut the whole defense open, and he just slid it in. And they just look like they stopped running and trying for the manager. And whenever you see a performance like that, usually the manager's gone. So Paul Heckenbottom, he looks like he's the first to get sacked because they've been up for the quality's not there, of course, but they've always given as good as they got. And yesterday they just looked like they just didn't give a fuck. So
do you know what? They got Saudi owners as well. Them Saudi owners need to be ashamed of themselves. You get me? I don't know. I don't. They must be some dud Saudi owners. You get me? Because they sold all their best players. You get me? I don't know what's going on. The poorest Saudi owners in the
but
world.
They're trying to get bought out. There was this. I don't know if you saw. There was a show where this. I think he's one of the richest African. I think he's Nigerian. Don't quote me on that, but he's definitely an African guy, and he wants to buy the club. But there was some controversy around him, and he thought that it's basically because he was black or something like that. So, but I don't really know too much about it. I just know that he was trying to buy them. So, I don't know.
Toby. I've seen that interview.
Yo, listen, no, you know what? Spurs fans got real beef with Sheffield United because of the Carabao Cup last season.
Really? I didn't know this.
Yeah, bro. The Spurs fans, listen, them Sheffield United fans they were on them because I think basically it was something to do with the Carabao Cup. Was it the FA Cup where they dumped you out last season?
Oh yeah.
So it kind of came from there. So it's funny. So yeah, like I think Tapping Tobes, he doesn't like Sheffield United fans, man. When they lost 8-0 the other day, he had a few wars with some of these guys on Twitter. I was like, bro,
I missed that, man. Missed that. That's too funny. That's too funny. Do you lot think? I'm gonna ask a question here. Do you lot think all the promoted teams are going down this season?
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe Everton in the mix as well, but I think.
Do you know what? Yeah, shout out to Sammy, right? I was chatting to Sammy earlier on. He's in the chat. You put up his comment earlier, and we talk a lot on socials and stuff. And he said, you asked me, do I think Chelsea can go down? And I said, listen, no, because there's just 3 teams that are definitely worse. I would probably add Wolves in there. Wolves are absolutely shocking, and I think that their main player is going to go in what's his name, the winger. Why is his name coming my head? Neto will probably leave. So I think, Wolves are shocking. I think the other 3 teams that will come up, they're going back down. At least Luton are definitely going back down. And
Everton are definitely worse than Chelsea as well, though.
And I think Everton
are not good.
They're not good. Chelsea, I think there are just 3 teams for sure that are worse than them.
100%. Luton
you know how bad Everton are? When I seen them win, bro, I had never been so surprised in my life.
Yeah, same. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Well, while we're briefly on Everton, we were gonna try and introduce a new segment this week. Very brief each week. Each week, one of us who's going to be on the show just going to give an honourable mention to a player, maybe from a player from one of the teams you don't really get to, maybe a player that you don't usually talk about, but somebody that you just saw over the weekend or that stood out that you thought deserved a quick mention on the show. I'm going to lead this week with an Everton player. It hurts my soul because he's an ex-United player, but like you, I seen Everton were winning, flicked it on, seeing one of the goals, seeing them all celebrating, seeing Ashley Young in there celebrating with the rest of the team. He had a really good game this weekend, and I just can't really believe that he's still in the Premier League performing at a reasonably good level, and at fullback, which wasn't the position that he started his career at, however many years later after we thought he was finished at United. So Ashley Young was mine for this week, honourable shout out. But I know Premsy, when I mentioned it to him earlier, actually had another ex-United player or ex-not-so-ex-United player that you wanted to give a shout out to.
You know what? I'm going to throw Johnny Evans in there. I think that pass that he gave to Fernandez was outstanding, and you gotta say it. He came into that team and he made him look a bit more solid at the back.
It looks
But
decent.
for a guy that's old, it's mad. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'll throw him out there.
Honourable mention. We'll get Patrick and Guna on an honourable mention next week. We've touched on Newcastle. We've touched a little bit on relegation battle. We did want to just touch briefly on Liverpool. I know we ain't got Roms here to give his thoughts. I might just press you first, Pat, because I know in the WhatsApp chat earlier, obviously the fans ain't heard this yet, but you were saying that you think that Liverpool is the second best team in the country right now. I had some pushback for you, but I wanted to hear you elaborate first on why you think that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, before a ball was kicked, City undoubtedly the best team in the country. Then I would have said Arsenal, but the way Arsenal has started, don't get me wrong, I still think they're a top team. I'm not going to sit here and take everything away from them. Teams are playing differently against Arsenal now because they respect them. At this stage last season, they didn't have that yet because no one really thought they was going to be as good as they were. And then also, like the boys are saying, Arteta's fucking around and just doing silly things. Partey at right back, playing players out of position. Just keep it simple. So for me, with all of these things going on and the injuries, Liverpool have been slyly and quietly consistent. They're racking up wins. I think they're 18 unbeaten or something crazy like that. So at the back end of last year, they had a really good end to the season. It's only because the middle and the beginning was so bad, they just missed out on the Champions League spot because they were picking up wins and they were breathing down the necks of your Manchester Uniteds and your Newcastles, but they just left it a bit too short. And this season as well, they started off, they do concede goals, but they score a lot of goals as well. So as I'm looking at it right now, and funny enough, they're into second place now because obviously Tottenham and Arsenal playing each other. We both took points off each other and they won again. And you look at it, Mo Salah quietly becoming a creator and adding more to his game. Nunez, they got a lot of firepower going forward. And I just think if they get their defence right, and as well as you look at it, they are a team that are known to challenge City as well. I do think right now they probably are the second best team in the country.
Premsy had him second in his predictions list, coming back to Mystic Man Premsy. In fairness, that was another one. You had him coming in second. Is this panning out so far how you expected, Prem? They got the win this weekend. I did watch a little bit of the game. I actually thought West Ham played well. I don't think Liverpool just blew them away, which is, I mean, I've got some thoughts on Liverpool that's separate, but you're not too surprised, Prem. You had them at second before a ball was kicked.
Yeah, I think you can't sleep on Jurgen Klopp. I think a lot of the arguments is Jurgen Klopp hasn't really built a second team. He hasn't succeeded, but I don't think he had a proper fair opportunity to ever build a second team because he never really got the money to build a second team. You can't sleep on his accomplishments that he's done in this league, battling it out year in, year out with Man City. It's inevitable for him to go out there, re-strengthen, and he's got a good eye for players. For example, Dominic Szoboszlai, top quality player, somebody Arsenal was linked to that I was gutted that we didn't get. He's come in. He looks a real talented player. Even Gakpo's come in. He's not pulling up trees, but he's offering them something different. You can look at the back now. Gomez was coming in, and he's looking better than what he's been previously. They've got that. I don't know how to pronounce my man's name, but a young lad at centre back as well who stepped in. He looks okay. Konza. Yeah, he looked decent as well. I think they got one of the best keepers in the world. Like I said, he probably is the best keeper in the world in Alisson. If you asked me who would I take for goalkeeper for my club, I would pick him all day, every day. I said as well that Luis Diaz being a miss for Liverpool last season was massive for them. He's a top player. And when he comes on, shit changes. When he's playing, they're looking frightening. Patrick touched on it, Mo Salah. He's creating a lot more now rather than just being a little bit more selfish and trying to get the goals. He's creating goals, he's scoring goals. And also, there's not that pressure on him. And this is why I thought they'll do well, because just like with Arsenal, there was no pressure last season. We were flying high. The moment there's pressure on you and people expect things off you, it becomes a little bit harder. When you can go out there, play your game with no pressure, you're having fun, and that's what football's about. And with Klopp, that's to his benefit. Having no Champions League football is to his benefit. In playing in the Europa League, Guna Lee can vouch for this because we've been in it for a number of years. You can go and field out a little bit of a weakened side. You get me? Then Premier League comes in, put the big boys back in. He's got that flexibility to do that now. This is why it is not no surprise to me. And I expect them to finish second. They've got all the experience and the knowledge how to do that. Yeah, you could say they've changed up some of the players and whatnot in their team. And the likes of Henderson's and Milner's and so on have gone. But they've still got a lot of them players in that team that have challenged with the City, like likes of Jota, the likes of Salah, the likes of Van Dijk, Trent, and Robertson. They've still got that kind of core there. So I'm not surprised at all, man. I think they're going to keep doing it. I think, what are they on, like a 19-20 game unbeaten run or something like that in the Premier League? So it's not by no coincidence, man.
Do you see them winning any trophies this year? I mean, you'd expect them to win your Europa League. Do you see them winning any of the trophies?
I think they'll win the Europa League, and you probably throw them in there. You probably think they're in a good shout with maybe the FA Cup or something like that, but I can't see them winning the Premier League. I think that's still City's, to be totally honest with you. Big up deep in the cut, my brother.
Patrick's got some special effects going on. It's just fully.
Now, Bish, hold the thumbs up for about 3 seconds, and then it will do it.
Maybe it's my hand, you know. It's not having it. Man's not got the.
See?
Look, Patrick's got some next thing going in.
Why? What's going on here? What have I missed it? Have you not seen my thumb? My thumb's mad.
No, can you not see Patrick? There's some little bubble coming up with a little thumb every time he does it.
Do it.
I don't know if this is compelling for the fans, but look, first time.
What the fuck is going on here?
Just hold your thumbs up for 3 seconds. Sorry, we've gone on but you've got to be at head level, like eye level, so the camera can see it.
He's taking the piss.
You know what? No, I think you know what it is. I think my camera probably thinks my thumb is my head, bro. Yeah.
So if you do it, look, so you just do it at thumb level for like 3 seconds. See, look, and it does it.
Maybe it's because you're the only one with lighting bright enough or something.
Yeah, lighting, and I've got the iPad Pro, to be fair, so maybe that's it.
It must be that. It's an iOS thing or something.
But yeah, it's all right still.
Anyway,
sorry, taking the piss. He's taking the piss. Say jump on disability. Nah. For people that don't know, that is actually my brother.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
You would have said that to him. You would have said that he's creasing the screen now, I'm sure.
That's a mad
Big up deep every time.
Yeah,
man. Well, I mean, we can probably think about wrapping it up there. We're at 10 minutes past the hour mark. But it's been a pleasure to have you guys here, lads. You know, good to hear your thoughts on the North London derby. It's a lot up in the air. Outside of maybe City at the top, it's hard to know where things are going to fall. And we're going to have an interesting few more weeks. Like I said before, we're coming up to episode 60. Next thing you know, we're going to be pushing on for episode 100. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to build something out. So big up everyone that's in the comments, everyone that's dropping super chats, everyone that's here every week, everyone that's subscribing, liking, sharing, putting your people them on. Yo, I watched this show on a Monday night. It's a vibe. If you're at work, whatever, throw it on. We appreciate you guys. And we're going to be here again next week on Monday. Same place, probably same time. Premsy, Pat, Guna, anyone else got anything they want to leave the fans with?
I knew he was going to do that. He's taking the piss now.
Man. Shout out to you, man.
Pleasure,
It's been a good show. It's been a decent little piece of therapy after yesterday's crap result. But yeah, man, like we move on to the midweek where I feel like there's going to be more controversy for Arsenal from the Arsenal side of things. But you know, there's never too much craziness going on in terms of Arsenal, bro. There's always a meltdown around the corner. So yeah, this is just part.
Don't be coming with them Tottenham colours on next time, dog.
Listen,
right?
bro.
You know what I'm saying? Especially after we just more or less got beat by it.
Yo, that's funny.
Nah, it's all love, honestly, bro. Like, I appreciate everyone's time as well. Bish, Patrick, Roms, Gooner Lee, even all the other guests that we do have on, man.
Yeah,
Without you, this show's not possible. With everybody in the comments, appreciate everyone putting it in. Like I said, if you don't watch this show, it's not possible. It's still a young show, and we're only trying to grow it. Hopefully, with time, it will get bigger and it can lead us on to better things. But without your support, we can't really do anything. So make sure you smash a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. The Mandem's links to their channels are in the description as well.
Do that.
Go and show everyone love.
Yes.
You get
and
me?
You probably noticed we've not had, speaking of pundits that are missing, we've not had a United pundit on here, and all the United seem to have disappeared from the comments because they've all just disappeared under rocks. So that's obviously brought the viewership and the comments down. So the rest of us that are not United fans, you know, that have got something to talk about, need to be in there taking up that difference. So big up all the non-United fans in the comment.
Now, big up DSG, you know, my guy, he's been mad busy in it, so he'll be back. He'll be back for United going and winning run of 5 games. He'll be back.
James. And James as well. Shout out to James.
Yeah, big up James as well, man. Love.
Yeah. Shout out, man.